Hey everybody, this video is going to be a little bit different than my normal one, so stick around to the end if you want to be involved in the giveaway. We've all had this situation before. Your players reach a new city in your world. They're settling in to prepare to do some downtime activities, but they ask to go to a location you've only vaguely prepared. What do you do? And now they want to talk to the local alchemist. You check your notes, and the only thing you have written down is Arthur. Who the heck is Arthur? Maybe he's a fun-loving alchemist who likes to meet new people from out of town. Or maybe he's an eccentric weirdo who thinks every outsider is a spy out to get him. The problem is, you just wrote Arthur and moved on to more important things. You don't have time to make details for every single NPC your party may or may not even interact with. Your time is better spent on more important details. So what do you do instead? Now, this is a method I came up with for my very free-form improvisational style. This may not work for everyone, so if you already have a method for coming up with NPCs on the spot, just stick with that. You can think of this as another tool to add to your belt. It's not the only tool, but if it helps you in a pinch, then it's worthwhile. I call this the 5-pointed star of NPCs. This is a method that I find most useful for when your players surprise you by being more interested than you thought they would in that cardboard cutout of a goblin you had sitting in the corner of the bar. So I have this secret rule I like to abide by. The rule of 5s. I never have more than 5 of anything in my world. 5 religions, 5 factions, 5 villains. Any more than that, and your players are likely to never encounter them at all. Now, I use this 5-pointed star to determine a lot of things, like the ideals of the world, the motives of different factions, and the types of NPCs that the party might engage with. And it's very likely you're already familiar with the 5 directions of this compass: good, evil, lawful, neutral, and chaotic. Now, of course, alignment isn't everything, but I do like to think of it as a jumping off point, a way to get an idea of who a character is and what sort of ideals they espouse. Are they peaceful townsfolk, for instance? Chances are they're probably lawful or neutral, doing what they need to do to make ends meet, but not sticking their neck out for any random traveler. Maybe they're a bard, adventurer, or a sellsword, someone with constantly fluctuating alliances, living on the fringes of society. They are likely chaotic. Maybe the party comes across a queen, merchant, constable, or justicar, someone who adheres to a strict sense of code. They're likely lawful. Are they a guard, knight, someone who follows an order or a cause? They could be good or evil, and it's likely just by saying that you already know which one. I don't know if you can hear this on the video, but it just started to rain, so I might be done recording today. Now, if you want to add some nuance, you can always play against type. Maybe there's a knight within an evil organization that she is forced to work with in order to save someone she loves. Or perhaps a corrupt justicar who's willing to turn the other way for the right bribe. Whatever the case may be, picking a direction on the 5-pointed star may be the initial spark you need to decide who this NPC is and what they're after. Sometimes, I even use this to decide naming conventions. Is it going to be an evil paladin? Well, maybe I'll name him Arthur Ashencloak. I know, a bit on the nose, but I've never had a party that minded otherwise. And I like to drop a subtle clue every now and then. In order to keep things from getting too stale, I like to give my NPCs a quirk, an oddity. Sometimes it can be a single word like shrewd or maudlin. Other times you can get really specific with it. For instance, perhaps you meet a merchant with a propensity for oddities such as idols, effigies, or strange knickknacks brought back from your adventures. Or perhaps a knight who refuses to use her sword, but instead fights with gauntleted fists to subdue her enemies. Just those 2 things and boom, you have a memorable NPC. Just remember a direction on the star and then some kind of an oddity or quirk. And you can even use the same system when designing things like cults, factions, or even entire kingdoms. And if you're having trouble deciding a quirk, most TTRPGs have an entire section somewhere in the book with lists of traits and oddities for characters. Take Burning Wheel for an example. I think it has something like 628 pages of traits, you need somewhere to start, try there. And if you're someone who struggles with coming up with those things on the spot, maybe take a few of those traits and write them down on a list. Then every time you have an NPC you weren't expecting come along, just write their name next to that list of traits. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Now, this was a bit of a different one for me. I had to try a few new techniques in order to get things right. But if you like what I did here and you want me to do more in this style, let me know in the comments. And if you want +1 proficiency in all things tabletop gaming, don't forget to trip that like button, attack that subscribe, and grapple that bell to maximize your XP, and keep this goblin from making death saves. So we're going to be giving away not one, but 2 sets of D&D dungeon terrain. And if we reach 500 subscribers by the end of the month, I'm going to throw in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So if you'd like to participate in this giveaway, just like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment that says prize. Thanks for watching.
I have scoured to the heart of the archives deep, and traveled to the top of the cinder cloud peaks, and forded the everplains for the answers I seek. So beware of the realms where you meddle, for the fates can be fickle when the dice settle.